Welcome to Hancock's VMware Half Hour.
Welcome back to this evening's very quick video that we're going to do. Something exciting happened today on the 9th of October. And what happened was Broadcom released VMware vCenter Server 8.0 Update 3C. And there are the release notes, and I will put those in the description. And one of the main fixes resolved in 8.0 Update 3C is the web client non-responsive issue that we saw back at the end of September. That if you've been watching the videos, I said, we may get another update drop in the next 7 days. It's been a little bit longer than 7 days. So for continuity, what we're going to do today, and I'm a great fan of the RDU function, the the reduced downtime upgrade function that we've got now in vCenter Server 8.0. So in this video today, we're going to update our 8.0 Update 3B with the workaround fix that we applied. Remember, if you've been watching these videos, you will see that we've already done many updates using RDU, which we will continue using. We don't really see that there's much benefit anymore in using the VAMI option anymore. So we're going to go straight ahead, and we are going to basically use the RDU function to uplift us, to upgrade us, to update us to 8.0 Update 3C. So without further ado, I'm going to jump back to our VMware vCenter server 8.0 Update 2. No, that's wrong. 3B, which we've applied the workaround fix. And you can actually basically see up here, we've got this lovely orange. And if we click view updates, sometimes that takes us to the updates and sometimes it doesn't. But if we actually basically go up and have a little look at vCenter upgrade here, we can see that I've already basically taken the trouble to insert the ISO. And remember, we must have the full ISO version to do this upgrade. And I will, as I said, I've done videos before on using the reduced downtime upgrade RDU function at Experts Exchange, and also now on YouTube in part 56 if you're following the VMware vSphere 8.0 series. I had hoped this evening that we may I've actually basically had some findings. You may remember in the last mini series of videos that we did on, as you remember, VMware Skyline Advisor Pro went end of life on the 4th of October. And this has been sort of kind of replaced with VMware Area Operations and VMware Area Operations for logs, and will give us findings. I'm still not seeing any findings in VMware Area Operations, and I just did refresh this beforehand, and now I'm actually basically getting a please verify if operation log is accessible and responsive. So that's something that we're going to have to look at, but I'm still not basically seeing any findings. And I had hoped today that we might have seen a finding that said update your VMware vCenter server to 8.03C, but we don't. So I'll come back to that later. So in the meantime, let's carry on. I've got no coffee, I've got no soft drink, but we'll get to the point where basically we deploy, because generally that's the bit that we're going to wait for a bit of time before we do the switch over. So again, if you watch these videos on using RDU, you will find that it's exactly the same. So I'm going to click next. I don't have a backup this evening, so I'm going to lie. I'm just going to go for it. So we need to upgrade the plugin, because in order for us to use the RDU, the plugin has to be the same version that we're upgrading to. So if I basically just click the upgrade plugin, then that's going to replace the current plugin, and we'll refresh the browser, and then we can come back and we can carry on with the upgrade. So whilst that's plugging on in the background, there we go, it's staging in the process. I'm just going to disappear here, and I'm going to have a little look at what really, it could just be a transient thing. I've just turned on the lab. So I'm just going to click refresh findings. Let's actually go over here. We do actually basically have VMware Realize login site. That is up and running. So at the moment, really, I don't have the foggiest as to why VMware Area Operations is complaining at the moment. But anyway, that filled in some time. So I'm just going to basically put this on pause, and I'll come back when that plugin has been upgraded. Okay, so our plugin has been upgraded successfully. So we're now on the later version of the plugin, the same version of the plugin to the version of VMware vCenter server that we are updating or upgrading to. So I'm going to click run the pre-check. And I was having a little look in the background, and I can see what the issue is. Since I've turned on HA and DRS on this cluster, DRS is migrating login site actually to another host, and I think that we've got some VLAN issues between a couple of the hosts here. So one of the networks is not actually available on the other two hosts, so that's why it was actually complaining. And I've just actually noticed in the background there that DRS has kicked in again, and it's actually basically migrating it back. So I'm either going to have to put the affinity rule in or turn off DRS temporarily, and I might just do that for this particular lab, because otherwise our findings are going to keep giving that message. It does actually surprise me really that it has to look at logs from login site for it to give me an active finding to tell me that a critical update has come out from Broadcom/VMware to update, when we've already been advised in VMware vCenter server that there is a critical update. And that's obviously basically just going off and comparing the versions online with the version that we're using here in the lab. Anyway, so I'm going to click next. Now, of course, you may remember, and this has caught me out a few times, I've clicked next without basically clicking configure target appliance. So, ideally there could be a fifth step there that says configure target appliance to make that more, or maybe I should just read and say target appliance, configure the vCenter target appliance. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to configure the target appliance. So we're going to accept the license agreement, and you probably listened to me or heard me talk about EULAs. Nobody reads them. Yes, we're going to join the customer experience improvement plan. We're going to deploy in a different location to the source. That's only because of the host that we have here. So I'm actually going to specify the name of the host that we're going to deploy to. That's wrong there. And again, you will have heard me say this before. We saw this before, didn't we? Okay, so all I've changed there is the host name to deploy to vCenter 8A rather than actually basically using ESXi 002. I've viewed the certificate and I'm going to click next. So we're going to specify the EE data center, and I'm going to specify ESXi 002 because that in our case at the moment is least loaded server. Okay, this is giving me issues now because of DRS. So let me just turn off DRS for the moment. So if we go to the cluster and we can edit settings of the cluster, I can turn off DRS, and I'm going to turn off HA. HA is already turned off as well. And while I'm going to do that, I'm also going to migrate that to number 3. That's going to fix a number of things for us. Okay, so let's just now go back and we will configure our target appliance again. So yeah, accept the agreement, join the improvement plan, deploy to vCenter 8A. The keen-eyed amongst you will have noticed that before I actually basically had the wrong parameters to deploy to our vCenter server. So I'm going to accept that. I'm going to click next. We're going to deploy to the data center. We're now going to pick number 2. Not enough memory to deploy the target vCenter appliance now. That's rather interesting. Something's obviously suddenly changed. Okay. At first, if you don't succeed, try again. Okay, it looks as if DRS has really been messing around my lab here, and it's moved VMware vCenter Server 8.03b onto ESXi002. So ESXi001 has got enough free resources for me to deploy it. And they're not going to move around now because I've turned off DRS. Again, you know, we're only having this problem because this lab is really short of resources. However, we may have been thrown a bone, and we can get some more long-term usage out of our lab because great guy William Lamb, I'm sure you've heard of him. If you haven't, I'll put his blog in the description here. Has been talking about NVMe memory tiering. I think that's the correct technology. These ProLiant servers, though, they may not support it because we'll have to see. But what it does actually basically mean is that you can basically put in a bit of NVMe in your server or in your home lab or in your desktop or whatever environment that you're using as a home lab. And you can use some of that NVMe and you can allocate it as memory for your host. I did a similar sort of kind of thing. Okay, so we're going to use ESXi001. So hopefully we've got some resources. Hey, brilliant. Yes, so NVMe, stick of NVMe, consumer, if you like, in your home lab, in your ESXi host server. This is ESXi 8.03, I think. It's one of the later versions. And you can configure it to use a chunk of that NVMe and allocate it against your server's host memory. So therefore, I could theoretically turn these 16 gig maxed out hosts using an NVMe stick, and I could basically give them another 32 gig or another 48 gig if I had a 512 gig or a terabyte NVMe stick, to which, to be honest, really from Amazon now, you know, these things are 50, 60 quid. They're not a lot of money. So I might give that a go. However, NVMe and PCI NVMe needs to be supported in the BIOS and the backplane and PCIe and I think these might just be too old. We will see. So anyway, VMware vCenter server 8.0.3c. Temporary root password. Remember it. However, of course, it is going to be overwritten in the end by your current configuration, which currently is going to be on 8.03b, because remember that this technology really is a bit like an upgrade from 7 to 8. And effectively, you're creating and configuring a new VMware vCenter server. The two will coexist, and then basically the configuration information from 8.03a will be migrated or copied from 8.03b to 8.03c, and then 8.03b will be shut down, and then when you do the switchover. So I'm just going to say next. I'm going to say tiny. Now, I know why that's refusing to be a tiny installation, and it's because at some point we've gone from tiny to small. So it is currently looking at your current configuration of VMware vCenter server, and it won't go smaller than what it currently is. But we can change that later, because we can edit those settings. So currently, my VMware vCenter server is actually basically running on 4 vCPUs and 21 gig of RAM, which is rather interesting because it must be swapping like mad, because these hosts only have a maximum of 16. It's going to go back there. Deployment size small, followed by next. We're going to deploy to that. Able thin mode. A little bit of talk that I was on site today. Exciting. I don't often get an opportunity to go to site. So FQDM, we're not going to bother with an FQDM. We did that before and it all went horribly wrong. So again, I'm going to use 192.168.182.14. Let's have a little look. 192.168.182.140. I'm a bit confused because I'm on site today using different public IP address ranges, and they just seem to be filling my brain. 192.168.182.140, 255, 255, 255.0, 192.168.182.1, servers, followed by next. Just quickly looking at what I put in, and I'm going to click finish. Followed by next. That's interesting. It told me it's not configured. Maybe I hit a key too quick, or I missed a value. So hopefully it's okay. Got to view the certificate. Accept that. One. Just looking here at what I missed that it didn't like. VM network IP static. Finish. Okay, that sort of kind of basically did a refresh of sorts. Maybe I was just a little bit too quick there with clicking next. So I'm just going to click Start to Upgrade. And if we've seen this before, then you know that roughly this takes all year. But of course, this isn't actually basically affecting production. As I've said before, you can stage this. You can do this any time of the day, lunchtime, afternoon. This isn't going to affect production. Then you can go to your CAB meeting and you can have a discussion about your vCenter server 8.03 B to C upgrade to fix that particular web responsiveness issue. And then basically you can make assurances to your CAB that the switchover is going to basically take 10 minutes and it's not going to cause any downtime, etc. I know there were organizations that were recently pressurized because of the nature of the 8.03b score, the CVSS score, which was between about 7.5 and 9.8. So that were the many organizations that were pressurized to do that update from 8.03a to 8.03b and hadn't actually basically seen the web responsive issue, the web client responsive issue that it had. Only then basically, you know, a few hours later, actually seeing the particular problem. So as I was saying, I've been on site today and deploying a new NetApp, a FAS 2820 to host content library and some ISOs and some low production virtual machines. So that's a brand new out the box install in the rack. Although actually, I must actually thank the guys really that actually put in the rack, because I didn't actually do that. I turn up and it's already nicely installed in the rack and racked in and everything. I just have to basically plug cables in and power supply and turn them on and do stuff like that. So I took a few photos today, and as I've still got a lot of work to do on that, because all I've really done is just turned it on, other than connecting in cables, power supply cables and network cables for management, and also the data storage size. But other than that, at the moment, it's completely virgin. So I took a few photos of that today, and we'll see whether or not that we can put together on, you know, how to provision a NetApp FAS 2820 to provide NFS for VMware vSphere ESXi 7.0 hosts in high availability mode as well. But anyway, so whilst we're waiting for this, I'll click pause and I'll come back shortly, and then hopefully we can quickly get this edited, transcoded, and up to YouTube on the day of release. Because as I said, the VMware vCenter Server 8.0 Update 3C basically dropped today on the 9th of October. So I'm a penguin today, and you may have heard that analogy before, that I spoke about penguins on icebergs. But as I said, this isn't production. This is a lab environment. So we will see. So I'll come back shortly when this has been deployed, and let's just quickly go back. I'll refresh the findings on here again. I'll put this on pause anyway, and if I actually find any findings, then I will come back. Wanted to come back actually. Okay, so that issue with it reaching out to login site has been fixed, so you can actually basically see now that it is actually ingesting logs now correctly. And if we actually go to diagnostics, it's not giving an error message anymore, but it's still not giving us any overall findings. It's giving us 0. So and this isn't the only dashboard that's doing this. There are a number of dashboards at the moment that we've got our eyes on. They're also basically giving a total findings of 0. So it's you know, to be honest, really, you know, the fact that, you know, VMware Skyline Advisor Pro has been terminated, and the some of the functionality has moved into VMware area operations as stated by Broadcom, nothing seems to be happening at the moment. If I click, view details or anything, nothing is appearing at the moment. And area operations is actually working at the moment, because we've got lists of issues here in the lab, all to do with CPU utilization predominantly, across the cluster unbalanced, A6i, CPU utilization, disk write latencies, VMware vCenter Server 8.03b, VMware, the SHD plugin, Skyliner Health Diagnostics, again, and also CPU utilization on both login site and Operation Manager as well. So Operations Manager is doing something. It's just not really giving us any findings. Okay, let's just have a little look. Okay, so we're still deploying the OVF template here. So 71%. Anyway, so I will come back when that's done, and we will do the switch over. But as you can see here now, we do have a VMware vCenter Server 8.0.3c appliance that has been created. Just having a little look at what's going on 2 there, what virtual machines that we've got. We've got 8.03b, and we've also, that's because that's 21 gig allocated. We've got VLCS as well, and there's our Skyline appliance. So to be honest with you, really, that's not really doing anything anymore in our lab, so I'm going to say goodbye to that, and I'm going to delete that. Goodbye, old friend. That's gone. Right, okay, I will come back at the end and summarize, and we'll do a switch over. Okay, so later that day, the upgrade has been prepared, and it now says monitoring the database replication. So maybe it's doing real-time replication now, or it was doing that before, but we just weren't aware. So I'm just basically going to ping just to check 182.140. Yep, that's our current 8.0.3c, and then our main production is 138. And okay, so as I've sort of kind of mentioned before, you go to your cab, you get change approval, they turn around and tell you that you can basically do the switch over at the weekend or out of hours. So we're just going to do it now. And in previous upgrades using RDU, we've seen this take about 10 minutes, but I have seen it get quicker. So maybe it's just being polished. So I'm just basically going to click switch over, and as we've seen before, it says switch over in progress. The vCenter server vCenter 8a.Consultant is being upgraded. Please wait, do not refresh or close the screen till the upgrade completes. And it does actually say switch over in progress, and it is actually basically running a little Twinkie. And as I've sort of kind of said before, when I'm working on another workstation here, with my back to the screen here, I don't notice that does actually basically change and eventually says upgrade completed. I just don't notice. Again, I'm just going to put this on pause. We're coming out to about 28 minutes. Hopefully, we'll get this done under 30 minutes. We'll get it edited, we'll get it transcoded, and we'll get it up to Experts Exchange and YouTube, hopefully before midnight today, on the same day that VMware vCenter Server 8.0 Update 3C was released on the 9th of October, or the build 2430561. So we'll just have a quick look at the resolved issues. I did read this before, and I did see somewhere did see a note somewhere that it does actually basically say that it does actually definitely fix the okay, it's actually basically says, it mentions it there. If you start the client session and leave it idle for more than 50 minutes, the session becomes invalid and you cannot log in or log out or use the vSphere client from the same browser until you clear all cookies. This issue occurs due to upgrade to Apache Tomcat 9.091 in vSphere 8.0 update 3b, which changes the default value of the property org.apache.catalina.connector.recycle_facades to true from false. This issue is resolved in this release. So if you are on 8.0b, then you probably would have fixed that anyway with a workaround. I'll put that in the video description. But this particular version, 8.0 update 3c, fixes that. So let's just have a little go back. Switch over is still in progress, although the little Twinkie has actually basically stopped. Oh, started up again. So we'll say we're at 31 minutes. So we'll come back shortly. We're back. Okay, so that was successful. A little bit longer than I anticipated, but we've now successfully updated to VMware vCenter Server 8.0.3c or build 243.0.5.161. So hopefully we won't come across any more Apache facades issue, which was the reason for the vSphere web client responsiveness issue or problems with it. So time will tell whether or not that we come across any more issues in 8.0.3c. So once again, it's late here in the UK. Thanks very much for watching this particular video, and all I have to say is good night and goodbye.